and then we can start. So hello everyone, and welcome to our Saturday session, and the plan for today is that we will go through core utilities we have in C# and .NET Framework. Also we'll go through some examples, small examples, and then what will happen, I will give you the next tasks, the next activities for you, so you can start doing them. The deadline will not be today yet, but as before, I think I will announce it, but that would be, I think, the week after next week. So no rush, no hurry. Just you can then start doing next activities, and then meanwhile I will check the previous assignments, and once I'm done with it, then we can go through them together. Okay? So this is the plan for today, and so let's start. Last time we started talking about some utility classes, utility namespace, and the example was, so we started with configuration tools. That was maybe not really for our case, but the thing is that if you have the project, you have a .NET project, and you have some kind of configuration files which may be needed, for example, for usually it's not only in .NET projects, but in many different frameworks. There is some kind of configuration file where the main settings for the application are stored. Then, like, maybe it can be some kind of usernames or credentials to connect some external resources, like, again, as I mentioned last time. For example, there are the applications which allow the integration using the emails, and then the credentials for the email, for the connection, for example, to Gmail, because I think almost all the applications which do have not applications, but the frameworks which do have the option to actually send the emails, it is possible then to connect the applications based on the corresponding frameworks to your Gmail accounts. So it means that you can develop the application which can send the emails. But yeah, this is based on the framework, and maybe later on or maybe show some examples, but again, I need to do some preparation then. But yeah, I mean, it is possible, and usually the key information also about the application itself, like the version, or maybe some maybe not the copyrights, but basically some key details about the configuration of the application, they are stored under the special file, or maybe in some cases there can be many files, and then of course then there should be the option for your program to access them. So this is when you may need to use configuration, namespace, and then we talked about globalization namespace, and this is quite interesting and quite important, especially if you work with global applications. Then in these cases you have different regions. Then each region may use different calendars. So it's maybe for different calendars. To be honest, in my practice I have not faced different calendars, but I know there's Japan calendar used. Not really sure what does it mean. If you know, maybe you can comment it. But yeah, I've seen Japan calendar, the option to convert days for Japan calendar, but I'm not really sure what is it. Yeah, maybe for calendar it's not so important, but Oh yeah, actually there may be some public holidays, for example, public holidays or celebrations or something like that. So in this case, it's also important. For example, you have the application which is based on the customers, or maybe if that's the application which maybe managed human resources in a company, then it is important to have to actually know all the public holidays and in the working days, to first of all to like if it's the employee or the customer, to not to disturb the person during the public holiday. Yeah, so that may be the relevant case. Or maybe if there are some calculations needed based on the, like maybe there are some contracts which count the weekdays, not the weekdays, but working days, excluding holidays and weekends, then such calculations also require the information about the calendar used. And so that's why such cases are important, and they are widely used in different programming applications. For example, let's just a moment, so I need to take some coffee. Okay, so let's then have a look. For example, we have the class, let's say, person, maybe person, and let's say the person has date of birth. So let me maybe create my separate class. Yeah, I can use some generic classes, but maybe let's try to use let's define our own class which represents the date. And then yeah, so let's say we have public integer, let's say day, then that would be scatter and setter as before. Mistake. Then the same would be for month and year. So click on month and year. And then let's say we have the method which actually gets the date. So that would be get date, and then we need to provide the get, maybe not the date, but get date string maybe, or maybe let's say get date. That would be fine. And then let's say that I need to provide the country information. So let's say I need to provide a country, and for the country, I guess we can use then. Okay, maybe that's a string. That would be fine. So into the country, and then I can convert the date into the one moment, wasn't it we did have this example, but I cannot remember where was it last time. One moment, where was it? So 10 seconds. Oh yeah, okay, that was under the string, yeah, I remember. I remember that was under the string. Yeah, we use this under the string. Yeah, so maybe let me copy paste just example. Yeah, and then too many characters, right? Yeah. And then I'll say that I return date. Oh, no, sorry, not now, but okay, I need to convert it. Okay, then we can convert date, or maybe in this case, let's maybe skip using. Yeah. So what's the point? The point here is that for the date, maybe we don't need to have getters and setters, since we can just simply have this as one object. So then, or actually we can write them private. We can define them as private. Then privates, and then private as well. Yeah. And I will fill them from the constructor. Yeah. So I fill them in from the constructor, and the constructor may be public. So then this would be integer day, integer month. Again, you can use your own format of defining the structure of the class. I mean, it's not strict that it should be defined this way. You can find your own way. For example, define all these attributes as public, then don't have parameterized constructor, then just simply use these values inside your methods. It's up to you to decide. So there is no unique and exactly one correct solution. So you can, again, as an option, what I do here, define these attributes as private, then use constructor, fill in these attributes, then use them in my methods, what I have in this class. For example, what you can do, as I just said, define these attributes as public, then don't use parameterized constructor, and then fill in all these attributes separately from the place where your class is stored. That would also be correct. There are some maybe advantages and disadvantages, but in general, you can define your own way how you proceed with your program. It's not restricted. It's not prohibited. Yeah. So it's up to you to decide how your program looks like. Yeah. There are some best practices, but even for the best practices, there's no one unique solution. And almost never there is one unique solution. Yeah. It's usually up to you. You can work on it, make some changes, do as you prefer. Yeah. That is also fine. Yeah, so and from here I can set the day. I can set the month. I can set the year. Okay, so then from here I can use months. Can you hear me well? That's no. I think I have a better option. I have a special microphone. I can connect it, so then the sound will be better. I think maybe a little bit noisy now. So I connected microphone. Yeah, I guess you can still hear me. That should be fine.
Okay. It's better.
Yes, you can hear me, right? Okay, that's good. Okay, now it should be fine. I'll just switch to another microphone. This one should be better. Okay, so, and then we can then create the date here. So let's say we have date time, and or on the other hand, what we can actually do, maybe also instead of using private getters and setters, so as another option, we can directly define date time variable. Right, so yeah, date time public attribute, class attribute. So that would be, let's say, date. I can name it, and then I can create this date here. So that would be date, and equals new date time, and then I pass. So you see, we can check the overloading of the methods. So we can see. So if you switch in between the signatures of the methods here, so you can see how this method is overloaded. Yeah, how it is overloaded. So overloading means, remember, that one method, yeah, which has the name and the same returning type, yeah, so the name and the returning types are the same, then we can overload this method. It means that we can create multiple these methods, yeah, with such name, but using different parameters to be provided. And then basically what happens, we call one of these methods. It means that we provide the parameters, then based on the parameter signature, yeah, so parameter signature what we provide, so that can be string, integer, or something like that. Yeah, so based on what kind of value type, what kind of type of the variables you pass there, then based on these, based on it, it will call the corresponding method. Actually, yeah, we will have maybe one interesting point, but yeah, maybe that will be a little bit later, about the overloading. Yeah, that will be the next point. Yeah, so first of all, let's fill in the date time. So that would be the year, the month. Sorry. Any questions? No? Just yeah. Sounds okay. Then I think it's okay. If there are no questions. Okay, then that would be the month and the year. Oh, the date, sorry. So when you create daytime object, then you can pass the following signature of the parameters. So once it is done, then for example get date, so you can get date as string. So you can say get date or get date as string, for example. Then what you need to do is you need to get the date we have, and then we can convert it to string. And here you can provide, yeah, so you have the country, and then you can also have the language. And the thing is that not for all the countries, like in one country, there may be multiple different languages used. And then for each language, then maybe use maybe it uses different kind of calendar type. Yeah. So then what I do, I can concatenate. Like so even this, but that's the language. Concatenate string and I concatenate country. Yeah, so basically then I have the class person, and then the person would be, let's say the person has date of birth. So it would be dates of birth. And then I can provide it from the constructor. So let's say I define it as private, just to make it more clear. And then I create a constructor. I can create person. So let's say that the person also has name, surname. In this case, maybe I'll not use getters and setters. So, and here I can provide name, surname, and date of birth, for example. Here I'll shorten it. Yeah. Okay, and then from here I can set these values I have. And surname, and then I can set date of birth. And as addition, I can also add the language and the country. Okay, and then I can set these values then here. The questions was highlighted as light blue. Okay, name them. So let's set the language. That okay. We also need to not provide them here. String country. So let's provide the language and let's provide the country. Okay. So okay, and now we can, let's say, public string, let it be get date of birth, for example. So as how this would look like, then let's say I return the date of birth, and then get the string. Then I provide the country, get date of birth. No, sorry, I provide the country and the language. Yeah, the sequence also should be correct. Yeah? Language goes first, and then country goes second, as per definition. There is one point what I don't really like is that we provide today this way. So what's the problem here? The problem here is that actually then I can also, yeah, so here we have one structural problem I don't really like, is that these two classes are, I would say they are connected. On the other hand, I guess that might be fine, because what is the problem I see here is that we have language and country defined under this particular class, person class, and then the date, we create the object of the date. So we'll create it separately, yeah, from from the place where we use the person clause. And then the thing is that if we try to call the method get date as string, we actually have no linkage between. We need to have language and country, but language and country is stored under the person clause. So what can we do in this case? In this case, we actually can do is as an option to make it maybe more clear. I mean, that would be fine. That would be fine as well, because like if I don't have language and country, then maybe that this could be that then I cannot call the method here. So that maybe won't be the problem from the structure, but I want to actually establish the connection between person class and the date class. So as for this, what I can actually do, maybe let's try to maybe use it as inner class. So what's the error? Yeah, the error is that yeah, so then we need to define it as public class, I think. And then should be fine. Yeah, so in this case here I use inner class. This is the structure we haven't worked before, but some classes may be defined inside another classes. This may be a little bit tricky pattern, but actually I would say this may be one of the ways how we want to establish the close connection between two classes. So in this case I say that this particular date can only be used alongside with this person clause. Yeah. So yes. Yes, then. And then I think yeah. Then I think that may be fine. So let's then create a person clause. So let's say that would be the person object. That would be the person. So let's say that would be check. Let's say select from accredited bus. Yeah, so then the namespace would be person date. So in this case, the year would be, so let's say something like this. Of course, I can also, no, the opposite direction, sorry. Let's say that would be something like this. And then the language would be, let's say, yeah, so regarding the languages, I guess there should be the list of constants. Let me check. And that's one moment. I guess there should be the list of countries, if I'm not mistaken. One moment. Okay, maybe let's just simply hardcode them. So I thought there would be some kind of enum or similar, but okay. We can then stick to what we have, and then the country would be, let's say, that would be okay, if I'm not mistaken. We talk about, if we talk about the United Kingdom, I think that should be okay. And so let's say that would be person 1. And then let's create person 2, which would be, so maybe, so you can do something like this. Maybe let's change the date. And then let's say that will be English, but United States. So then let's print. Let's print the date and see the result. Okay, let's run the program. Yeah, so you see that the date format is different based on the, say, the origin of the person. Yeah. And one more thing is, basically the thing is that usually it is based on the customer settings, like we have the database, yeah, then if we have the customers or the employees, then in the database we usually store the country, yeah, from where the person comes from, and then of course this data is available for the program, and the program can read it and display the corresponding display the date, for example, using the corresponding date format. Yeah, so do you have any questions about this? Okay, and I hope that will be fine. And there is one thing what I wanted to show you for the method overloading. So for example, yeah, as I said, overloading means that one method can have multiple implementations using different parameters. But let's say we have the situation when we have the class which is the subclass of another class. So the customer will extend the class person. Yeah? So maybe I will do. Oh yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah, that's because class person. Yeah, so, yeah. One more thing: when you define a subclass, the accessibility of the subclass. Yeah, the accessibility of the subclass should be no less than sorry, not more than accessibility of the public of the superclass. Yeah, for example, if you define the class as, let's say, private or protected, then you define the subclass as public. It won't be possible because they have different, not different, but the accessibility for the superclass is more restricted than accessibility for the subclass, and this is not acceptable. If we have a situation when, let's say, the subclass is defined as private, then the superclass is defined as public. This should be correct, yeah. So it's different. Yeah, so this is different, but one moment. Next, we found the explicitly required protected. Okay, then let's say it like this. Oh, no, okay, then still. Yeah, okay, then maybe if they are in the same namespace, then let's say they should be the same then. Okay, then maybe not about this. Yeah, be careful with this. So yeah, then we need to So it says that we need to implement the constructor. So because we have a parameterized constructor, it simply means that the subclass should also have parameterized constructor. So then it means, or basically the constructor which calls the constructor of the superclass. Yeah, says. And then I need to pass all these parameters to the base class. Name, surname, date of birth, language, yeah. So now it should be, no, sorry, a person, but customer, of course, and it should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So now it's fine. And then let's say we have a situation which implements, like let's do the overloading of the method. So let's say I have this another method, so static, say void, do something, and then I pass the person. So let's say I pass the person and do some stuff here. Then let's say I overload the method, do something, and then I pass the subclass of the class person. Then I do like this. So in this case we have, I would say, maybe from object-oriented programming code, a bit crazy situation. For example, let's say that I create the person and then I create the customer, for example. So the customer, and then say I have customer class here, customer object. And okay, let's write that the method for the person is called, and then the method for the customer is called again. So you see that here we have a customer here and we have the person here. Basically, but the person is the superclass of the class customer, so technically customer is also the person, right? So in this case we have a little bit confusing situation because like technically for the customer this method would be valid as well, yeah, because customer is still the person. So what basically it means, let's say that I call this do something method and I pass the customer. Let's say I do something and I pass the person. So let's see the result, what will happen. Yeah. So in this case, the program actually detects the type of the objects, so, and then it calls the corresponding method. So technically it makes sense, and I mean for us, as for those who write the code, this would be fine, yeah, because, but I mean the thing is that the customer is still the person, so it means that this method is also valid for the customer. Yeah, so what does it mean? It means that if I comment out this code, yeah, so I don't have the method for the customer, this is still correct. Yeah, you see that despite the fact that I commented out the method for the customer, it shows no error because customer is still the person. So it means that it will call this method. Yeah, so for both it's called. And so this technically is a little bit interesting situation, I would say. Yeah, because now the same method is called for both. And this is because, again, the customer is the subclass of the person, so it means that when you pass the parameters to the methods, then it checks, it also checks if maybe you pass the parameter which is the with the type which is the subclass of the type required in the method, and this will be fine as well. On the other hand, we cannot comment out this particular method, because then for the person that won't be correct, just simply because not all the persons are the customers. Yeah. So this is also a very important thing to remember, because remember we have the top-down design in object-oriented programming in the inheritance, and it means that we can always use the subclass as the superclass, but we cannot always use the superclass as the subclass, because the superclass may have multiple subclasses, and then if we cast one of these, and if this is not correct, then it will trigger class cast exception. So for example, I can do the casting myself, but in this case it will trigger the error. It will trigger, also not the error, but exception. Yeah. So you see, because the valid cast exception, because the customer, because the person, this particular person, is not the customer. And so this is what we can use to remember. Yeah, so be careful in this case. And yeah, so when you call these methods, you do the casting, okay, if the types are different. Upcasting again will always work. Upcasting again means that we pass something more specific to more general. Like if I comment this method, then it will pass the customer to the person, which is correct since the customer is also the person. Yeah. This is one point. Then the second point, let's say that if we done the casting, what will happen if we done the casting already? So let's say we cast the customer to the person. So let's say that I cast the customer to the person. This cast is allowed because this is upcasting. Yeah, so it means that I cast the object of the subclass to the variable of the superclass. Yeah, so this will always work. And then let's see what happens if I, instead of customer, what will happen if I pass basically I pass the same object again, because the reference is still the same. You see that here I pass the reference to this variable. The reference still remains the same, but the variable type is different. So, and let's see what happens here. Yeah, you see that now it still calls the method for the person. So yeah, this is, I would say, maybe quite interesting point. I mean, because for us as for programmers, it simply calls the method based on the type. But on the other hand, it is not called based on the reference. Yeah, so like the reference type of the reference for this particular variable, and I will type here type of the object and type of the reference. Actually, these are the synonyms. Reference is customer, but the method for the person will be called instead. Yeah. So this is, I would say, one important thing, and I would say one interesting. So in this case, if you want to, if you want to actually call the method for the customer, not for the person, then you must do upcasting or downcasting. But again, usually if you do downcasting, then I always recommend you to use the check So maybe I will comment it out here. Use the check before doing the downcasting. Yeah, downcasting means again then we cast the more general, the object stored under more general variable to more specific variable. Again, this may be tricky in some cases because um, because it's not always valid. Yeah, again, in this case, I pass customer to person, then I pass person to customer. This will be correct, yeah, because the object reference is still the same. Yeah, it is created as customer and it's passed to person. Then actually the person variable is simply stored as the place where we store this object. Yeah. The type of the reference, the type of the object, it remains the same. Yeah, so that's why downcasting here is possible, but let's say if you create a person as person, then you try to cast it to customer, it will not be correct since the type of the reference is person, not the customer. Yeah, and then I do the check here, I clarify if person is if the person is customer, then I can do the casting, and in this case you see that the method for the customer is called. Yeah, so if I cast, but basically for it simply means that for one particular reference type, you can call you can call different methods using the casting. Okay? So this is such interesting points, and on practice this may be used on practice. Yeah, casting is usually used on practice when you're moving between different object types. Like let's say you have like if you do the web programming or just any application, you have, let's say, the windows, the views, then you may have some kind of view controller. Yeah. For example, yeah, there is the superclass view controller, then you have the view controller especially for your exact view. Yeah. Then there may be another view, so again view controller, then it has the subclasses like view controller for this particular purpose and view controller for this particular purpose. And then you may do the casting from one to another place. You may work with the views as with the objects, with the view controller as with the objects. Then there may be some generic frameworks which simply process all these views, and then the casting there may be used quite frequently. Yeah? So in this case, the casting, usually it's up casting, but sometimes the down casting may be needed as well. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, and basically for other cases, overloading works maybe more simple. So just different types and then corresponding method to be called. Okay, so maybe right now let's have 10 minutes break. So if you have any questions, you can prepare them, and then after the break we can continue discussion. Okay, so let's have 10 minutes break now. So just in case you have any questions, you can ask them. So if not, then we can then proceed further. Okay. So. Yeah. So this is what this was about the the globalization in namespace, and yeah, basically partially also used the the string methods, yeah, like the way how we can convert the string, and yeah, for example, we can also convert salary, for example, or some kind of prices for the product. So this is the display, the way how we display them is based on the, usually it's based on the country and the language used there. So, yeah, that was about this. And basically for the string, there are many different methods how you can convert the strings, how you can get some information from the string. So this is, so the strings have many different implementations you can use there. So then there is another text class, text namespace, which has some encoders, decoders. For example, I recently had the situation when there is one application. Yeah, basically there's connection between two applications. So there's one front-end application, one back-end system. Yeah, and then on the front-end there are the Chinese characters used, so honey characters, and then there is the name defined on Chinese. It was using Chinese characters, and then it is sent to the backend, yeah, basically sent from one application to another in a decoded way. So then we have some strange characters, not the actual Chinese characters, but the kind of strange Unicode characters, and then in such cases we need to use decoders to read them correctly in the backends, and encoders in case we want to encode them back. And yeah, so so now we started talking about the text is maybe shortly about encoding and decoding, not maybe only about the strings, but in general. So this is a little bit from cryptography, but I would say this may be interesting also for you. Remember that from mathematics that we have the functions. Yeah, the function means that we have the input and we have the output. And for one exact input, we can have only one option of output. It's not possible that I call the same function providing one input and then it returns different outputs. Yeah, the output should be one. Okay? Should be one unique, and it cannot have multiple different outputs. Yeah, this is basically the definition of the function. Yeah, in math, if we have one function for one particular input, we can only have one output. This is the rule for the function. And what kind of functions we have? We have the functions when there is for one input, yeah, there is one output, and yeah, this means that we have yeah, so the situation we have, but what we can have one multiple different inputs which have the same output. Yeah, so like for the simple function, let's say the function goes something like this, and then there are the input values where there are the same output returning values. So this is possible, but it's not possible that for one input value you have we have multiple different values on the graph. Yeah, maybe let me get some example. Moment. Yeah, so for example, let's get another graph. For example, like this. So we have the function. The function has input parameters. Let's say they are on the x-axis, and then let's say then for this particular value, it can the input parameter may be here, and then so it can also be here for this particular value. Yeah, it can be in both places, but it cannot be reversed. Like, let's say that if you reverse this function, like you reverse x and y axis, then this will not be the function anymore. Why? Because then for one particular y value, so let's say you have the value y value here, and then you have two x values, so it's not possible that it will not be the function. It's not there's no way that this is the function from y. This way it's we map it to the returning value is x, and that won't be possible to reverse this. We can split it in two and then show this function, this particular into this graph in two, but it's not possible that this is like actually reversed and this is the function as well. No, because the function cannot have two values, two or more values for one input. Like we have, let's say again, we reverse. We say we have the function from y at point 0, and then it has three values. So it's not correct. It can be possible, and so yeah, the same way is also in programming. If we have the function again based on one parameter, then we can only have one exact return value. Again, the value can be the array, for example. It's also the value, and it's also fine. Yeah, then you have the array as the returning type. This will also be correct, yeah. But like you cannot have, like, let's say, one function, then it returns you one array with values 1, 2, and then the same function with all the same parameters, it returns you the value with, let's say, 2, 1, yeah, not 1, 2, so it's not possible based on the original function. And yeah, so this is what we call injection, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, injective. It means that the function is always injective. It means that for each input parameter there will be one exact output parameter. Yeah, and but yeah, they can be. Yeah, maybe let me show you the graph. Yeah, so for one input parameter there can be multiple. There can be one exact output, but the output actually may be the same. For example, like this, if I have input 4, then it is mapped to output C, and then I have input 3, it is also mapped to output C. This is called injective function. And then there is bijective option. Then bijection means that actually it means the opposite. And then we have sorry, not bijective, but so yeah, it's injective. Yeah, it's actually the opposite way. That yeah, that for one particular output there can be multiple different. For one output there are it can be only one input. Yeah, so yeah, this is not subjective function because for one output there are multiple inputs. So this won't be subjective if we have the situation when there is one output element, there is one exact input element. So this would be oh no, in this case, yeah, there is no output for C, that's why it won't be subjective. But if we have one input for one output element, then this would be subjective. So, and then if we have both, yeah, so it means that for one input there can be one output, and for one output there can be only one input, then it is called biaction. Yeah, so like let's say we have 4 elements as the input, 4 elements as the output set, and then they have one-to-one mapping. This is called biactive mapping. And then if we go back to programming, then again the same way, if we call one function, we may have one exact result. So the thing is, when we call the function, we provide different parameters, then in some cases the results can match, they can be the same. And so yeah, when it can be important, for example, when we work with the, let's say, with the date hashing. Yeah, as I mentioned last time, we may have some kind of hash function. So let's say again, I had the situation when I had to write a hash function which maps, so let's say, 100,000 elements into 100 groups. Yeah, and then in this case we have injected function because for one exact group there can be one. For one exact element there can be one exact group, but for each group there are multiple input elements. And yeah, so in this case it's not biactive function, but what about the passwords, for example? And yeah, this is actually what I wanted to talk about, is basically how the passwords are decoded and basically then checked. Because you know that the passwords you usually enter everywhere, they are not stored as just directly as you type them. Yeah, like if you have the password like 12345, then the password is not stored in the database as 12345. It is usually stored like it is decoded, yeah, and then it cannot be, and then it cannot be decoded back. So this is the point when you have biactive function. So it means that it can. Maybe let's go back here. This. Maybe let me open it again. So when you have biactive function, it means that you can call the function, provide the input element, then go to the output element. And then if the function is biactive, then you can go also back from this output element to the input element. So this is called biaction. So it means that you can take one input element, then go to the output element. Then you can take the output element, then go back to one exact input element. So this is called biaction. And yeah, this is called biaction. And and for example, the passwords are not decoded in biactive way. Yeah, for example, how it usually done. You provide, like everywhere, you provide a password, then the password is encoded, and then you have some crazy characters at the end, and then these characters are stored somewhere in the database. Then next time when you write the password, So when you, let's say you want to log in somewhere, you provide the password, then basically what happens, then the same function is involved. The function um, does the encoding, then it gets all these crazy characters, and then what it does, it simply compares these crazy characters stored in the database with what you provided. So this is an injected function. Yeah, like you provide the password, you got some crazy characters. If these crazy characters match with what you created before, then actually the login is successful and you can log in. If you provide wrong password, then actually, in theory, for some functions, there may be the possibility. Usually, this probability is very, 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 very small, but I'm not really sure about it. Modern functions, what is this probability? But I'm sure it's really, really small. I'm not sure if it's zero. I don't think it's zero. But maybe there is the password which can provide the same result uh, as you get, sorry, as it is stored in the database. So maybe, I'm not really sure about this, but theoretically, I guess there is some small probability that you provide two different passwords and they both, and then you can log in using some kind of different password. But I'm pretty sure that probability is very, very small. But again, since the function is not biactive, it is not normally possible that you can. So again, you provide the password. Your password is encoded, stored in the database. Then it is the way that using this database encoded password, it can be decoded, and then you get back the original text you wrote. Yeah. So it's not normal, it's not possible. That's why don't be afraid if you provide your passwords that it is available for everyone. Maybe for someone it is available. These crazy characters, encoded characters are available, but not the original password. So this is the way, and yeah, in such cases, this is how usually encoding and decoding works. If the function is biactive, then we can do the encoding and decoding both. Usually it's like there are some keys needed in between, but yeah, this is not maybe about the text, it's about cryptography, but so sometimes if you maybe work on practice, for example, you develop application which uses the credentials, like there is the login and the password, then you may need to use some kind of special encoding functions which encode the passwords. Yeah. But you don't need to decode passwords. You just simply need to check if the decoded values stored in the database and provided by the user, if they both match. And then the login will be successful. Okay, but yeah, that's just the story. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask. And then, if not, we can move to the next topic, also about the utilities, and in this case we can talk about the reflection namespace. So there are the classes that I use to provide let's say manage view of the loaded type. So basically means that if you have some kind of methods, then so under the object, under the class, then these methods can be displayed maybe on the screen or stored under the, so like, let's say different objects, collections or arrays or similar, and they can be loaded on the screen. So yeah, let's maybe have let's have an example. So for example, here we have the type so we have the object person. So let's say I want to get the type of the person, same person type, and then that would be, I use keyword type of, so I get the type of, and then I get the type of the person. Hold on. No, sorry, let's put on a moment. I think I can use person moments. I think, yeah, that will be get type person. So I get the type, and then I can get some information maybe about the methods firstly. So that will be method info, so that is on the reflection class, reflection namespace. So let's add this reflection namespace on the top, and then we can use it in our code. So then that will be method info. So basically this will store the information about the methods stored under the person type. So person type, and then here I can get the methods stored under the person. And then let's say I can let me print them all. So I'm going to use for each. Then that will be methods. And then I print them all. So in this case, I guess let me check. Maybe need to separate parameters then. Scene. Yeah. So basically now you see all the methods what are stored under the person class, person object. Yeah, so basically you can see them all. You see the signature of the methods. Yeah, so the parameters to be provided. So we have the parameters to be provided and the returning type. So basically we can get the technical information about the method, about the types. Yes, so yeah. So when it is needed, in some cases when we can when we can when we can call the methods parameters directly, sorry, not direct, but dynamically. So in dynamic way, it means that maybe without really knowing the type, then yeah, there are some crazy patterns when this can be used. Maybe in not really good designs, yeah, but I mean normally maybe you should not really use them, I would say. But maybe in some really special cases, especially maybe if you work with multiple programming languages at the time, then integrate them with each other, then such information, such reflection namespace may be needed to get the information about the objects you want to use in your program. But I mean, this may be quite a special case. For example, here. For example, here maybe let's maybe Yeah, let's maybe try to do this. So for example, let's say that I want to let's say maybe I want to get date of birth using a little bit crazy way maybe. Okay, so then let's then I'll maybe comment this out, and then when I will get one exact method. So that would be, so what methods I have here, that would be get date of birth maybe method. Get dates of birth methods. And then I will go to the person type, and then from here I will try to get this particular method. So what I need to provide method name. I need to provide method name, and then that would be method name. Let me copy paste it here. So this will basically return the instance of this method. Yeah, so basically return actually the object as the method. So it's here. So then I get the instance of this method, and what can I actually do is I can also call this method this way. So let's then do this. And yeah, so then I can get the result. So result maybe string, yes, something like this. And then I can invoke this method. So then I say get date of birth. I invoke this method. And yeah, I have no arguments. So the argument list will be empty. Moment. Okay, it has one. Moment. Yeah, it has one overloaded. Okay, then I think in this case we can pass new then. And what else? Oh, no, sorry, we need to pass the object, yeah. That's the point, we need to pass the object. So let's say then I pass the object which is the person, right? And then the parameters, I have actually no list of the parameters. So in this case, the list of the parameters will be simply empty list. So then this will be the way I provide empty list. And yeah, let's say then that will be this way. I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, and then the returning type. So this returns object. So it does not really know what the type is. Then I can do the downcasting again. Okay, and now it will be. So let's see the result. Yeah, actually, this may look quite strange, but this is the part of dynamic programming, I would say. So let's see the results. Yeah, so you see that actually, yeah, it called the method without calling the method directly from the type. Yeah, so you see, because here I don't call this method directly, I get this method as the object, and then I call this method this crazy way. So yeah, this may be a little bit interesting, but where can be the interesting point? And this is what I mentioned to you when we talked about when someone of you asked about the the pointers. So I said that the pointers can be used when we work with dynamic types. Yeah, so as one of the options, what we can do, we can also use this that I call it dynamic programming. Yeah, so maybe let's stick to this term. We can also do this dynamic programming. So what does it mean? And when this can be helpful? When this can be helpful, let's say I have class. So let's say I have the class, maybe, yeah, my view1, for example, and then I have the class my view2. So, and they both have the same methods. You know, for example, let's say that's the public one. So then let's say the method does something, and then I print out that this method does something. And then let's say there's something, maybe let's say in view1. And then I have the same method in this class. So what we have here, we have a situation when we have a case when we have two classes. They both have the same methods, but these classes are not related with each other. So yeah, this is the point. They have some similarities in between, but they are not related with each other using the interfaces or the classes or or using the inheritance or something. Yeah, or using the inheritance. They are not related with each other. Yeah. So, but let's say I have the method which wants to do something with the object. Yeah, so let's say I have the method which static void do something do something with the object. Yeah, we already have method do something, but this will be a different case. Do something with the object. This will be a little bit different case. And yeah, then I pass the object here. So then I say I don't know the type of the object. I simply know that this object implements it does have the method which does something. I mean, in practice, this can be something memorial, and here we just have the dummy example when the method just simply does something. Yeah, and here I have this object, and then I can call the method from this object. So again, I use this particular code. So I say that method does something. What is this? Yeah, it's here. So then I get the instance of this method. Does something. I need to get type. So that would be the type. Oh yeah, type object type b, and I get this type as the instance. So we can do it from every object. Yeah, this is the method defined under the object, and then here I can get the instance of this method. Alright, so yeah, get the instance of this method from the type, and then I can call this method. I need to provide, yeah, so here I need to provide the object type, and yeah, here I have nothing to provide. And then yeah, it's not data birth, it's just something method. Something method. And then I have no return type here, so I simply invoke it. Then I invoke it from here. Okay, so and yeah. And then let's say I have these two random objects defined here. So let's say we have my v1. So when I create this my view, and the same with my v2. And then I pass these two to the method do something with the object. So I do something with the object in my view, I do something with the object my view2. Then I, again, the same method. Let's run. Okay, I have exception, object does not okay, so I have the exception object does not match. Let's see what we have. Okay, yeah, this is the object type. Have the object type. Yeah, so there is the word do something. And what's the details here? Okay, so this looks interesting. Moment, let's check. We have do something, okay, and then we have the public void, okay. Then the question is why it fails. It does not match. It does not match target type. Ah, hold on. Object type is okay. One moment. I think. No. It's object type. Okay, object type is. Yeah, I mean they have different object types. Okay, I think I can understand what this is. So the type is my view, and the name of the type is my view. And yeah, and then I want to pass. The object which is typed as object. Okay. Okay. Then I think. Then I think we need to do the casting there. Okay, and this is what I don't really want then, but yeah, then I think we cannot really do the casting this way, right? Hold on. My sorry. Yeah, this is my mistake. You see? Yeah, that's just a dummy mistake. Yeah, you see, I provided the type, not the object. Sorry, my fault. Yeah, I need to, yeah, because here what we do, we call the basically what we say, from this particular object, call this method and provide these parameters. Yeah, I accidentally provided object type instead of object. Sorry, my fault. Typo. Yeah, this should obviously be the object. And then we have here, yeah, now everything is fine. And you see that this works. This works. And again, what we see here, basically we have the situation when we have, here we do know the, inside this method we do know the type of these two objects here, these two classes. We do know them, but inside this method, the method we use, you see we don't define the type of these two objects or these two classes. Yes, so they are not defined here. Basically everything happens dynamically. It dynamically takes the method needed, it dynamically then calls this method, and then this method is called. Yeah, so basically I have no place where I call these methods directly from the type. Yeah, I simply do everything dynamically here. You see, I don't have the type of. I don't provide the information that the object provided from here. It has the type myView1 or myView2. It's mentioned nowhere. What I simply need to get the method these classes use, this object use, and I want to call this method. That's it. Yeah, this may be a little bit complicated, but this is the option. This is the option what maybe in some cases you would use in practice. Maybe again in good designs, in good patterns, in the best practices, you will never use this. But maybe if you work with bad design, because on my practice I had to use such methods just because of the fact that I did not have the ability to use multiple inheritance. For example, example from my practice, I work with the web framework, which has multiple views. Yeah, so there's the view 1, view 2. These views are maybe a little bit different, and the key point is that they have different controllers. Yeah, there's controller of one view and controller of another view. So the controllers, these are the classes. Yeah, controller means the class which processes some inputs, maybe does some actions on the round trips, and so on. Yeah, so basically the class which is responsible controlling the view. Yeah, the view on the screen, the view on the website or the application. Then there is of course the superclass for both these views, which is kind of view controller class, generic class, and then we can extend this class for the views. Then basically then what happens? Then for each view I defined the method. But again, these views are defined. Wait a second, maybe let me change this. So there is the superclass. Yeah, so this is the view control. One moment. So this is the general view controller. Then it has the subclasses like view controller 1, view controller 2. Yeah, view 1 controller or controller of the second view. Yeah, so then the thing is, I cannot edit this class. Yeah, I cannot edit it, but then I have multiple subclasses. And let's say there may be more subclasses, but I'm not interested about it. There are more subclasses of this general view controller, but I'm only worried about these two views. And what the thing is? The thing is that I have, let's say, another place. Yeah, this is maybe another place where I need to process the information. Yeah, so again, I define the method. So there's just one method x, yeah, so method a, for example, yeah, let's call this too much characters. Yeah, let's say I defined the method a inside this class, and then I defined the method a inside this class. And yeah, of course, in theory, I can then define an interface and then assign to both these classes. But there were some restrictions, and I could not then do this. I could not do this. I could not create the, oh, sorry, not method B, but method A. I could not do it using the interfaces. There were some restrictions. Maybe not only about the interfaces, that was about the parameters, yeah, because you know that under the interfaces we cannot define the parameters. That's why it was a little bit complicated then to access them. So yeah, and then I cannot define the interface. Again, on practice, if you have the option, then you define an interface, assign an interface to both these classes, and then that will be fine. And then the thing is that I have to call this method from this class. And so I have another class where I had to call this the method A. Yeah, the methods were actually similar, but they are from different classes. And the thing is that these classes are not related directly with each other. Basically, these two methods technically are different. But I know, so I developed this logic, maybe not for these two methods, but for this class, I know that these methods do the same. And then the thing is that I actually did not want to the casting for, because again, here I show only two classes, but I mean, in my case, there were like 10 classes, 10 different classes with the same methods, and they were not related with each other. Yeah? So, and yeah, that's why it was, yeah, in theory, I could write the same code for 10 different classes, yeah, but then that would be just simply copy pasting the code for each class. Instead of this, what I did is I created similar logic, yeah, which then takes these two views as the objects, yeah. Then I basically called this method A dynamically this way. Okay? But again, this is just because of the bad pattern I had to work with. If you have a nice pattern, like you have the interface, you have the correct design of the application, then then you won't need this. On the other hand, maybe when you work with different programming languages and like you need to, and if there is the option to maybe call the method from one programming language to inside another programming language, then such approach may also be used then. Yeah, but I mean, it depends. It depends, and this may be, let's say, maybe quite special case, but also it may be relevant. Okay, do you have any questions about this? Are you still here? Because it's quite quiet from your side today. But I understand it's Saturday. It may be hard for everyone to concentrate today, but yeah, let's proceed. Let's continue. So yeah, this is about the function. So it allows us to work dynamically with the program. So then yeah, the next one is system input output namespace, and this is basically the namespace which as it stands from the name, it works on the input output. That means that this is based on the so it means that we work with the files. So we can read the files, we can write in the files. Yeah, so this is the namespace which allows us to do it. There are the strings. Yeah, there's the string class which basically is needed for the ability to read the corresponding file. Yeah, because mostly we work with the files as with the text is. Yeah, in case there's a some kind of special type of the file, then there may be a special reader needed. Yeah, but so in easy case we work with the text files. Yeah, and then there's the asynchronous support. There's different implementations. The file which reads and writes the data. So yeah, there are different methods there. Directory, for example, which creates the directory, and directory info which gets the directory, then file creates the file, file info gets the file, then there's the stream which actually then supports a random access to files through seek method. Yeah, it opens the file synchronously by the end, and it supports asynchronous operations. Maybe this is more about some special reading, maybe we will not touch it now, but yeah, mostly when we simply want to work with the files, then we use file info or pass. Yeah, and let's yeah, so also the driver, maybe that will be quite special thing, but let's maybe try some examples here. Yeah, so let's maybe get the information about the directory. I'll maybe comment this logic for now, just to not call it again, and then let's use system input output. So again, I need to provide the information that we'll use it. So and then yeah, let's for example get directory information. Yeah, by the way, if you want, we can also use var. That would be just faster way, and then we can, let's say, the directory information. So let's say I provide the path to the directory. Let it be and so yeah, let it be the directory with practical tasks. And then I go to the demo directory, to this one, and I copy the address, I paste it here. Yeah, I can use add to escape special characters here. Yeah, remember we can use add to escape slashes. And then let me close this. So then we can get subdirectories. For example, we can just simply print it out. Let's maybe print the information about directory we have. Copy. Yeah, so basically then shows the name directory, that's fine, and maybe what can we, yeah, so we can get the full name, we can get the name, so that we can check if directory exists, because, so let's say if I check something like this, then of course the directory will not be in place, because this simply does not exist. And okay, so I think a little bit. Let's try again. Yeah, so you see that directory is not this. So using basically this directory info, we can check if the directory exists or or not. Yeah, and yeah, we can check subdirectories here if needed. But on the other hand, if directory does not exist, we can create it, for example. So then if directory does not exist, then I can create directory. Wait, too much. Okay, back. Okay. So let's run the program. Let's see if directory is created. Yeah, see that directory is created. So we basically can manage the content of our folders on the computer. Yeah. When this is needed, for example, you create the application, you work on the application, then there may be some files stored, like usually the most usual case would be that you have to attach the files, yeah, in the program, in the application, and then of course you may need to have a directory, then you can create the files, add the files there, and then store them under the folder. Yeah. So, and yeah, then you can also change the security of the directory. Maybe again for Windows users, this is not really important. Usually the Windows users do not have the problems with the access to the folders, but for the Unix operating systems, the restrictions may be quite significant, and that the access can be restricted to some user groups, and especially when we talk about like the applications, because you know that the applications, especially web applications, they are stored on the servers. Yeah? There can be some servers where the application is stored, and then of course the access to the file may be restricted. Yeah, because I mean, like if the access would be public, then everyone could access the files. Maybe some security files, for example, configuration file where there are the credentials stored, or yeah, also there are the differences for read and write access for the files, because otherwise, if there is the public write access, then for such files it can be really unsafe, because there can be, let's say, hacked accessed and changed, and of course it may trigger some serious issues with your application. Yeah. So normally then when you develop the application and when you create some storages inside the code, then you may need to think about what are the access rules for these folders. Yeah. So, and then if needed, then you can also move to, and you can also delete the directory. Okay, do you have any questions about directories? Okay. No?
Questions will appear when we will try to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is how it usually happens. But yeah, so like, we'll definitely, maybe later, not today, but we'll do some tasks with the files. Yeah, and then of course you may need to then use this these utilities, these patterns. Yeah, for the file we can create a path. Yeah, the path is actually the file path. Is there? So for example, we have the file info, the same as for the directory. Yeah, directory can be the object, and we can also have the file as the object. Then yeah. So let's then check it. So we have file, then we have file info. And then yeah, I need to provide a file name. So then I need to provide a file name. I go to the practical tasks here, and then I enter the file name. Yeah, so we need the full path for file name. So let's say maybe let it be my text file, for example. TXT. We now will work on with text files. Wait, what did I do? Okay, that's a different one. I'm not sure why am I here. Sorry, should be here. Okay. So file info. Of course, I need to use escape character. True. Okay. So now I have file, and then I can check if file does not exist. Then I can create a file. Same as for the directory. Okay, so let's run the program, and we'll see that the file will be created. Something interesting here. Okay, see that my text file is created. Okay, so this is one point. Yeah, so this is one point. Then let's do some actions with the file. Yeah, you can also use file stream, but maybe file stream is maybe not what we will use now. And then yeah, so let's see, what do? I can, so for the file I can yeah, I can do decryption. Yeah, I can append text. So let's say here is my text. Yeah, so moment. Moment, right? Okay, because it does not have them. Yeah, let's maybe check it this way. Okay, then I need to create a string writer. Okay, then it will create the string writer, which will then maybe need it to write the text. Okay, then maybe let me open write first, then so let me open write first. So that would return file string. Okay, so this is what I mentioned in the presentation now, and file string. Let me write this way. And for the file string, I can write text, let's say. So here is my text. Oh yeah, I need to write it as the byte. As the bytes, right? Or one moment, I guess I can write. Yeah, okay, maybe let's then convert them to bytes. So this is the string, so I can call the method. And the method would be, oh no, sorry, not from the string, but yeah, that would be encoding. That would be encoding. Encoding, so I need to encode. Moments, I need to encode. Ah, yeah, system text. That was, yeah. Sure. System text encoding. Right. I guess that was encoder. Oh no, sorry. Coding. Yeah, this one I think. Coding. Then I provide the encoding. Let's say, yeah, I mean, when we work with the Latvian or English characters, we can always use UTF-8. That will be fine, and then we get bytes from text. Okay. So. Yeah, it is done here, and so at the end, say have file. Yes, no, sorry, not file. And for file stream, we better pause it at the end. Okay. So we better pause it at the end. Let's see the result. Okay, we'll run the program. Now there's the. Okay, let me open the folder. So open the folder. Here's my text file, and you can see the text is here. Yeah, we better close the stream. That's just a technical approach. What is recommended, and just because of some streaming streaming rules, it needs to be closed. So it should normally be closed. And by the way, this is what we talked about last time when the disposable is used for the streams. As I said, disposables are widely used. So, and for example, yeah, we can write it here, and then, yeah, so the moment here the file does not exist, maybe we can rewrite it. Then, on the other hand, like else, we can read the file, for example, as well. So, and to read the file, we can again use file stream, and here we'll open read. So here we'll read the information, so again that will be file stream. Like this way. And then I go through, yeah, so then what happens here, go to the file stream, I read all the information, yeah, and then I need to pass the bytes. One moment. Yeah, I can read one byte, I can read multiple bytes there. Okay, then that would be, okay, yeah. Then I can read and I can get the bytes here. Yeah. So I can get the arrays of bytes. So let's then do this. Byte array, and I can pass it to the methods. Yeah, it asks me to initialize. Maybe let's do it this way. And then let's try to display it on the screen. Then again, I use system text and decoding. I guess I can use decoder there. Or no, sorry, I guess I can. I think I can. One moment. No, I think I can do. I can convert string to bytes. Yeah, I can convert the array of bytes to string. And maybe let's do them in this way. I will define string here. Hold on. I can define string here, so that will be text. Then I create a new string, and I think I can then pass the bytes here. If I'm not mistaken. Okay. One moment. Let me quickly check. So, yeah, we can convert the byte array to string. So, moment. I forgot about. Oh, okay. We can still use encoding class. Yeah. So sorry, my fault. Yeah, we can still use encoding class. So that would be system text. It's no comma, but not. And it's not text reader, but text. Text. That would be encoding. That would be default, and from here we can get string. And here we can get the string, and yeah, here I can provide the bytes. We have, and that would be enough. I think maybe this one not really. Okay. Okay, let's check this. Okay, and then then the read is not correct here. One moment. One moment. Let me quickly check this one. Because yeah, I think I can also then read. Then I think I can also read one by one, which then won't be. Yeah, I need to read all the bytes. Okay. Yeah, this may be not really. Okay, but then we need to do it then. Okay, so then I create the byte array, and then we can take the one from the file stream. That will be the one, and then we need to read each byte. But yeah, so why not? Okay, and we can do it. We can do it. Oh no, hold on. One moment, let's then just simply. One moment. Yeah. So then let's take file stream and read. Let's try again, maybe. No, let's try now. Oh, everything's fine now. Yeah. So yeah, we just had to initialize the array. Yeah. So now it's fine. yeah, I was worried if we just need to go through all the bytes, but no. Yeah, so then just simply we can simply convert. So yeah, we can simply use read method and then get the bytes of the string. Why we need to read the bytes, not the text directly? Because yeah, technically the texts are not really stored in the direct way. They're stored as the bytes. That's just because, again, you can have different encodings between different character sets. Like, again, for example, in Latvian we use our characters, yeah, with the letters like Garmzīmes or Mīkstinātzīmes or something like that. Yeah, but let's say also in German language there are some interesting characters, and so yeah, the character set may be different, and then they had to be read in a different way. Yeah. And yeah, also in practice, for example, yeah, regarding the encodings, in fact, when you send, for example, when you send the text messages, usually these are the SMS messages, then the Latin characters, or maybe simply non-Latin characters, they are stored differently, and in fact they require much more space and memory than non-Latin characters. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, I faced this when I developed my application, and I had to integrate it with the SMS functionality. And the problem was that when we used Latvian characters, it cost us like we had to pay, let's say, maybe 3 times more than for the regular English characters. And so be careful there, because in this case for Latin characters it requires more more space, more characters for the program, and more bytes. So yeah, this is why. Yeah, that's why they are stored as the bytes. Okay, do you have any questions on this? Okay, so yeah, this is how input-output works. In fact, what we can do, we can do it maybe a little bit differently. So, one moment, let's find a pass here, and then let's write the string, oh sorry, file pass. Okay, so let's write the string here. Let it be file pass, and let's hit run. Start it here, and then yeah, let's provide this file pass to this constructor, and let's see what will happen here if we use the file. So it'll be my file, maybe my file or something like that, and then I create a new file and I provide the path. I can do it, right? Okay, no, hold on. Moment. What is the problem? Okay, this is the path. No, hold on, yeah. So I have the file, and oh, okay. Yeah, so this is the static class, which reads all text from the file path I can provide. Yeah, that's correct. So my file text, and here I simply write this text file. Yeah, so this is just the shorter way, and yeah, technically it of course technically these two are the same, but of course for you it's easier and faster to use this approach. And also here for file creation, so let's say we don't use file stream, but instead of this we use saying static methods. Yeah, so that would be of course here we also need to pause the streams, and maybe I can copy paste this comment just for you to remember. And here I can append the lines, so that would be that I use file append all lines, and here that would be, here is my text. Actually, yeah, maybe not all lines, maybe simple append line, I guess. That would be append all text, yeah, this one, sorry. Append, or no, append text, this one. This is simply here I say here is my text, and that will be it. So, and let's maybe change the path for this, my text file 2, that would be, and let's see, yeah, so the program is executed, and let's see here, yeah, so the file is created, and no text is written. Oh, of course, because it created, yeah, okay, sorry, yeah, so it created the file with name here is my text. Yeah, not hot, sorry, I need to provide the file path here, right? Oh no, it actually gives us, okay, one moment, so that then there should be file path, right? And then I write line, yeah, so that should be correct. Then I write line, here is my text. Okay, it should now be correct. Because previously I just simply created the file with the name here is my text somewhere on my computer, not sure where it is. So yeah, now the method is executed. Let's check. Oh no, sorry, it will not be again because the file already exists. So maybe let me delete it. Program is executed. Sorry, a moment. Oh, sorry, it has the exception. What was the exception? Let's run again. Okay. No, in this case, there won't be exception because the file is created, so let's delete it. Then let's run, and now we should have the exception. The process cannot access. Okay, yeah. So this is the point. This is the point because yeah, this is why I said you need to close. You need to close the previous process before the current one is used. Moment. Okay, so here I create a file, and okay, in this case I need to I remember I had this, so I need to get the file stream then. Stream, yeah. So, and only after that I can write to this line, yeah. This is just because of some technical settings for the technical requirements for the file stream. If one process uses it, it cannot be used then by another process. So let's delete it and let's run again. Okay, sorry, that was not correct. Okay, maybe append text is not the best one. It's appends. Okay, then I can moments. Oh, okay, simply append all text. This one that will be. Then this will be the path and the content. The content and of course the encoding may be important when you have some special characters. For example, if you have 100 characters. Okay, then you don't need the path stream. Okay. File path first. Let me do file path. Okay. Let's check again. That's still the problem. And yeah, I need to close one. One moment. Okay, yeah, everything's fine now. So I have a file string here. That's why, yeah. That's why it creates the file, then it creates the file string. So it means that before I create a new file stream, I need to close the previous one. Or I can also directly create and close it. So that will be the option as well. So I create and close it. Yeah, I create and close it, and then it should be fine. Let's try again. Yeah, so now it's correct. Let's change the result. And here's the text. Yeah, so that was the point. The point here is when you use one stream with the file, you cannot create another stream with the same file. So it simply means that the file is locked. Like you open the file, then it means that no one else can edit it, right? This is usually how it happens. And that's why this is the same as here. You first need to close the previous stream. So you need to close the previous stream before you create a new one. So this is important. That's why you may get the error if you try to use if you try to create multiple streams at once with the same file. So, do you have the questions about this? So, but if you want to, yeah, I mean, in this case, we had a problem just because we created the file. If we don't create the file, then we just use this method directly, and that would be enough. Okay. So, okay, yeah, I will share this code with you. So, if you want, you can take a look on it, and you can use it when we create the files. Yeah, so what else we can take a look on it on here. So yeah, directory info, file path, file stream. Yeah, then there is also some there are also some specific reader and writer classes. There for binary reads, string reader, string writer. So they are basically there are different classes. They have different purposes. Maybe for you it's maybe not really important. Like if you use different types of streams, then there are also there's also there may be some difficulties with the performance, like for instance some kind of maybe some binary strings or some bufferizing of them can impact the performance. But if you just simply need to read or write the files, then that will be enough if you use the simple methods there. But usually there may be the streams which sometimes there may be the streams which you need to read one by one, or maybe character by character. So then you may need to use different streams. Yeah, buffer stream, this is what I talk about. For example, yeah, when do we need to use buffer? So buffer stream is something similar that we have with the string builder. So you remember when we need to concatenate the string, create the string, then we can use like concatenate the string in loop, or some other automatic operation, which is not just simply what we hard code inside the code. Yeah, we say we have automatic operation, like we if we have the loop, so we can concatenate the string inside the loop, then we use string builder. We don't use just simple one string because it's not efficient from the performance point of view and from the memory point of view as well. So that's why if we do it, then we need to use string builder or buffered stream. This is similar way. If we want to write something inside the file, and let's say you do it line by line, like if you read all the text at once, that should be fine. But if you do line by line, or let's say block by block, like let's say you have the file, text file, which has, let's say, first part of the block, then the second part of the block, the third part of the block, and you add them separately then from the code, then it's better to use buffered stream. Buffered stream because it's more efficient in such case, and it's simply more efficient and faster from the memory point of view, and it's more efficient. Then there are some asynchronous operations. So let's say here we write some asynchronous data, then we await once the previous operation is done. Yeah, this is mostly for some kind of web requests. So maybe we will take a look on asynchronous operations a little bit later, not today, but yeah, they're possible, and also using the input output we can do it. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about asynchronous operations a little bit later. So, but the key point, what I want to highlight is that if you want to read or write into the file, then we need to use input output. It is quite easy, I would say, to read the file. Just simply can use read all text, then provide the file path, then you simply get the raw file as text, as string, and then you can store it inside your program, or you can display it somewhere. It depends on your task. If you want to write, then also similar way. Please be sure that the stream is not opened. Yeah. Otherwise, you need to close it before you proceed with other content adding to the file. Right? So, do you have any questions about it? Yeah. When you have tasks with this, maybe then you have the questions. But yeah, so as I promised, what we do for now, I will share you the next practical tasks. Yeah. So, a moment. So one moment. Here they are. Okay, so it's day 4. And yeah, then there are 3 tasks. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there are 3 tasks. So let me then share them all with you. So that will be activity 6, activity 7, and activity 8. So, and this would be activities 6, 7, and 8 until, so it will be the week after next week, and let's say that will be on Wednesday. Okay, so that will be until 8th of December. Okay. So yeah, so you can then start. Yeah, so the plan for now is you can start working on these 3 activities. Meanwhile, I will take a look on your activity 4 and 5, on what you submitted, and then let's say at 1 o'clock. Yeah, so it means that in 1.5 hours, I will go through all of them. Yeah, and then at 1 we will go through the solution and see maybe what are the common issues or what can be improved or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So then this is the plan. Do you have any questions about the plan? I will be here. Yeah, I will stay. We'll stay all in the meeting. Yeah, I'll be here, but I will meanwhile check your assignments then, and then let's then continue at 1. Yeah, and at 1 we will go through the solution. Okay. So then maybe I will stop the stream on YouTube, and then I will restart it again once we are back, and once we discuss the solution for activity 4 and 5.